Welcome to the All49ers show. Grant Cohn, Jose Sanchez, All49ers. We're going to be talking a lot about Lamar Jackson today because that's the topic du jour. Well, that means of the day in French. But we're also going to be talking about Matthew Stafford, other things that are sort of tangentially related to the 49ers, free agency, the draft, life, and death. Maybe not that. Anyway, let's start with Lamar Jackson. The Ravens placed the non-exclusive franchise tag, which basically means he's open for business. He doesn't have an agent, though. He's the agent. So you got to call him up and say, Lamar.
I think it's his mother.
It's his mom? It's his cousin?
I've been hearing, kind of reading. I don't know if it's 1,000%, but I think it's his mother.
Well, Tom Brady, it's his kitten. Lamar Jackson, it's his mom. Should the Niners call up Lamar Jackson's mom and make a pitch? What do you think?
Yeah, you definitely got to, do your due diligence, right? You wouldn't be an NFL franchise if you weren't. Although from the 8 that have already leaked, reported rumors oh, we're not interested, which I'm not 1,000% shocked because they know.
Who said they're not interested?
Huh?
Who said they're not interested?
Dude, plenty of teams are. I mean, according to
Miami said they're not interested.
Miami,
right?
Atlanta, Carolina, all these teams are coming out, and it's that's how everyone's talking about collusion. But to me, it's it's collusion, but I think it's mainly because they don't want to give him that contract that tops Deshaun Watson because everyone's still pissed off that the Browns did what they did to Deshaun. It's of all quarterbacks, you're going to give that record-breaking one you did to that guy? Really?
Yeah.
That guy?
Yeah.
Come on. So, I know the case should be made so why not Lamar Jackson? It makes more sense, which it does, but, that contract shouldn't have happened in the first place, and I think they want to use, hey, this outlier is not him, but I digress. So, yeah, you're the Niners. You definitely do your due diligence.
Right, because real quick, Lamar, if people don't know, Lamar wants a fully guaranteed contract.
Fully guaranteed and wants it to top Deshaun, essentially.
Yeah.
At least by a smidge.
Okay.
Maybe not like that.
Okay, but I mean, the way I look at it is it's negotiation. And if I were Lamar Jackson, I would start there too. It doesn't mean that he won't meet a team halfway if it's not the Ravens. I wouldn't meet the Ravens halfway. What's the point of committing to the Ravens when they won't give you a wide receiver? The Niners, it might be different. I mean, from his perspective, if the Niners would agree to get a center and a right tackle, why would Lamar not want to come to this team? This team is loaded.
Yeah.
Now, quarterbacks get hurt here a lot. Maybe that would be the thing.
They get hurt. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. And for a guy who hasn't been able to remain healthy for December, January, especially towards the tail end of the year, he's literally an example of a running quarterback who his body just wears down eventually, whether it's the hit, whether it's the constant just stress on his body. But yeah, he hasn't really been able to keep upright. He always end up, and it's almost like the same thing with Kyler, right? That we see Kyler at the end of the year. But I think Lamar is way better than Kyler and a better person overall. But still, it's that's one risk you got to factor in. So again, the same thing that our fear about Christian McCaffrey coming here. It's wait, you're gonna acquire, I get it, an elite talent, but you're gonna acquire one of the more injury-prone running backs and put him on the most injury-prone team in the league of the last several years in the 49ers. The same thing with the quarterback. Wait, not saying Lamar is injury-prone, but he does miss time. So you're gonna put a guy who has that concern on the 49ers on a team who, let's face it, they run through quarterbacks like they do freaking glasses of water, like someone in the desert. So it's it's fair to say that'd be my drawback to this.
It's fair to say that Kyle and Lamar would be a bad fit in a lot of ways. And I'd love to hear what RG3 would have to say on this one. But Kyle he goes through quarterbacks. He doesn't really protect them. He doesn't really seem enthusiastic about using running quarterbacks. He almost seems like he's forced to, and then he kind of breaks them. So yeah, I don't know if it will work. I don't know if it's a good fit, but what I would say is, if Andy Reid didn't have Patrick Mahomes, he'd be all over this. And I keep going back to what Andy Reid said after the Super Bowl. Steve Young said, "What did you learn from this experience?" He said, "You know what? I'm important. The coaching staff's important, but you need one of you." And that's the truth. Lamar Jackson is on, I'm not saying he's Steve Young, but he's been an MVP. He does have Hall of Fame talent. And if you put him on a team like this, he could win a Super Bowl. But I think Kyle Shanahan doesn't agree with Andy Reid fundamentally that you need a Steve Young to win a Super Bowl. I feel like Kyle's on a mission to prove otherwise, which is his problem.
Yeah, and you're probably right on that, because that's why I think he's going to be more revolved or oriented of, let me just build around a solid offense and a very strong defense, and then I just have the quarterback in the system that's friendly, which, it is friendly. That's why they always get so far with these average players. But it's hey, you're always there. But the reason why you can't get over that last level or two, you can't get to that final boss or beat the final boss is, you're facing the elite of the elite, and what happens?
No. It's bad luck. It's bad luck. They've just had bad luck. You're wrong. The Niners actually are the best team in the league, and they've proven it 4 years in a row, but they had bad luck. I'm sorry. I can't help myself at 10:08 in the morning. I agree with you. They're like that guy who's always, and that's Kyle's problem, man. He's always going to be a contender. He's always going to be at the final table. He's never going to win. He'll make an excuse, but if you step back, it's the quarterback. It's the quarterback. Always quarterback. So, I mean, if he could get over himself, I feel like this would be a good move. I mean, better than bringing in 38-year-old Aaron Rodgers or 45-year-old Tom Brady.
1,000%.
Right?
You're better off doing that. And it's like, but I think the real thing is if you're going to, consider it, like, obviously he makes you a huge upgrade. I'm very, if they had Lamar last year and the NFC Championship game, I'm like, oh, they're beating them. And they're probably beating the Chiefs a little bit, I think, because they have a bet. I mean, I think they would have held up better against the Chiefs than the Eagles defense.
I mean, is Jalen Hurts really better than Lamar? Or does he just have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith?
I mean,
you know what I mean? I couldn't tell you who Lamar Jackson's wide receivers were last year.
I mean, come on, Jalen Hurts. Come on, that deep throw. What does that have to do with AJ Brown being open? He had to touch that. I mean,
hey, Jalen's good. Jalen's good. But I think Lamar is too.
Yeah, Lamar. I think it would be like Lamar and Jalen easily the best of the best in the NFC at that point. And if you're Lamar, you'd be like, I get to go to the NFC where it's weak as hell, and I'm gonna go to a friendly offense with plenty of talent.
McCaffrey.
The thing is, that's gonna be abusive.
Play with just the two of them in the backfield. That's crazy.
It's a no-brainer in this sense, but here's where you're screwed when you're the 49ers. You don't have that first-round pick to give up to even. First of all, even if you had that offer to match him, you don't have that first-round pick to give up this year, which is why there's this being thrown out there.
Do you have to wait? Do you have to wait until after the draft?
After the draft, you can wait. Yeah. You don't have to give up that pick. You give up next year's pick, but it's like I guess if you're Lamar, you could wait and make sense. And if you're the 49ers, of course you'd wait. Why not? Because at least, okay, we have something in place. You go after maybe someone in free agency or you draft someone. And then you can go after him. But then you have to really, okay, once you get to that point, we have the picks or whatnot, you got to consider, how's our salary cap going to work? We're going to have to get rid of some of these players somewhere, or we're going to have to restructure something because that's the give and take, right? If you're going to have that top of the top at quarterback, then okay, now we're going to have to shed some of this fat. That's why it kind of looks a little dumb that the Giants did what they did with Daniel Jones. It's like, wait, you have a quarterback who needs all this talent around him, and he didn't acknowledge that. Instead of him being smart, he got greedy and went. You know what they just did?
They just made the Derek Carr mistake. The same thing the Raiders did with Derek Carr. It's like, yeah, he's good when he has a full team around him, but you pay him all this money, start taking pieces away. Look what happens. Watch.
That's what's always funny about these quarterbacks. It's like, dude, you guys are being so like, you guys can't just like shave off just at least like $5 to $8 million. Like, I mean, I'm sure. I mean,
I know.
You've already a millionaire at this point. I mean, I get it. It's not my money, but it's like, dude, you guys like realize like if that's the difference between like a couple players and that can like enhance your.
But team. Lamar already has been carrying an offense with a team with minimal talent on offense. Like, if you put him here, this would be an upgrade for him. And I think like Niner fans are so caught up with their defense. Oh, we got to have Nick Bosa. We got to have this number one defense, man. Like, no, you don't. Defense doesn't win championships. Nick Bosa isn't going to win you a Super Bowl on his own. You need a quarterback. And if it came down to MVP caliber quarterback at 26 or Nick Bosa, I'm taking the quarterback every time, and that's Lamar. Sorry. So that's an easy decision for me. It's just, I don't think it's an easy decision for the 49ers. They want to win with defense. They want to win with the quarterback being just one of the guys, which is so like counter to where the NFL is going right now.
Yeah, and that's pretty much, it's pretty much like the NFL is kind of almost easy to tell who wins it. It's pretty much have the best of the best, like in Patrick Mahomes, Burrow to get you there, or you're going to have like someone that's on that rookie deal that always like it's always coveted, and hopefully he develops and you can build around him. Or again, like, you know, or again, you could just get like maybe like a middle of the pack like the Niners do, which is the one phenomenon. But I think the best case is always going for the elite of the elite, or having like someone who's a rookie upbringing you build around him, because the Niners, what they've been doing with Jimmy Garoppolo and everything like that, it's like, it's been cool, but it's like this plan, this method, this strategy hasn't been working. I mean, I get it. It's making you consistent. It's great. But we still need that extra punch or two, the extra pop towards the end. And right now, it's like you're a team that's so good and so much hyped up with all this talent. It's like, what does it matter if you're not really making it to the final dance and winning it?
What was the last team that won a Super Bowl with dominant defense? The Broncos?
The Ravens, 2012, off the top of my head. Broncos, yes. The
Broncos.
Hell yeah. Broncos,
okay.
So Peyton was washed.
So
he was smart. He was smart. He was a good game manager. That was
7 years ago. That was 7 years ago. So the last, 6 Super Bowl champions have had teams with great offenses. The last 2 Super Bowl champions have had defenses that were strictly middle of the road. Seahawks 16th in points allowed. That's mediocre. And Rams were 15th. You don't have to have a great defense. You just can't have a bad one. It doesn't even have to be good. It has to be serviceable. The offense has to be great, and the Niners are spending a lot of money on their defense. You know what? Enough. We can talk about this later, but you could take a step back on defense, still be good, and actually finish your offensive line and bring in an MVP caliber quarterback. That was their formula in the past when they won Super Bowls. They never ever won a Super Bowl with just a guy at quarterback. There was a 20-year stretch where the Niners had MVP candidates at quarterback every single freaking year. And that even counts Jeff Garcia, who was in the mix. He was a top 8 quarterback for like 3 years. Ever since then, the Niners have been trying to win. They want to be the Bears or something. I don't get it. Quarterback doesn't matter.
That's why it's like he does want to run first, Kyle, right? He's like, it's crazy. It's always funny. It's a young coach, but in like an old man spirit. The way he just wants to run.
Well, his dad won with Terrell Davis. His dad won with defense and running. Elway was old as hell. Kyle wants to do the same thing like it's 1998. What were you doing in 1998?
Probably like kicking a small toddler ball because I was 3 years old.
Yeah, that's right. Kyle's trying to take it back to then.
I'll to the credit of Kyle, at least I'll say like he's tried to upgrade the position. He's just kind of like been failing. He's just been kind of failing.
You know what sucks is I feel like they're not going to get Lamar Jackson, and what they're going to do. Hey, let's go real bleak, real worst case scenario. They don't get Lamar Jackson. They get bad news on Brock Purdy at the end of the week. Kyle panics and trades for Kirk Cousins.
Oh God.
No. But it could happen.
Would they?
They love each other.
Would Minnesota trade him? You would have to give up. I think why Minnesota be hesitant is because like you're gonna make another playoff contending team like stronger. Like, wait, what? That makes no sense. And then he's going to thrive, and we're going to look like idiots. But, hey, we got these picks. Like
they just lost in the first round with Kirk. Again, what if it's Kirk for Trey straight up? Kirk for Trey.
God,
I wouldn't do it, but you know who would? Mr. Kyle Shanahan. Senor Kyle Shanahan. Prove me wrong, Kyle. Go get Lamar Jackson, not Kirk Cousins, because Kirk Cousins is not a Hall of Famer. He's not going to win a Super Bowl. He's going nowhere.
Go to our first-round pick, though.
Kirk.
Probably. Do the Niners have? That's the thing about the Niners in the trade.
They got Trey.
You have like, Trey. Yeah. Who wants? I don't know who's gonna.
Minnesota. He's from over there.
Yeah, in the dome. Weak division, weaker. Well, the NFC West kind of a weak division too.
I'm not advocating for this, by the way. If the Niners trade for Kirk Cousins, I'll never let the Niners hear the end of it. That would be the worst.
Weak situation.
I just think it could happen.
Lamar Jackson, the Niners. You think that's actually going to happen? I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, I wish it happened.
Do I think it's going to happen? Hell no. Over Kyle's dead body, is that going to happen?
You know how fun that would be to watch and talk about this team with Lamar?
It would be a lot of fun. But Lamar would get all the credit, not Kyle. And Kyle wouldn't let that happen. And again, Kyle wants to win with defense. I don't understand it. He's an offensive coach. But again, like he's supposed to be an offensive genius, right? You got Kittle, Debo, McCaffrey, Ayuk, and Kyle. Dude, why would you not want Lamar? With Kyle, wouldn't it be like a record-setting offense? Wouldn't he want this? Again, Andy Reid would. Why does Kyle not want this? I don't understand it. He wants defense. He wants Nick Bosa and Jesse Bates. Like, yeah, they're great too, dude, but they don't play quarterback. Neither one. They don't throw the ball. They don't take 5-step drops, 7-step drops. They don't do none of that. So I don't understand. Make it make sense.
Like, even though we're still waiting on Brock Purdy, but Brock Purdy did prove why the 49ers have always needed an upgrade this whole time. They went from scoring 23, 24 a game with Jimmy, even with Christian McCaffrey, to going up 6 to 8 points with Purdy. You could, whatever you want to claim it to be, it's like, oh, it was only a short game span. He won't replicate that, whatever. The point is, we saw what it looks like when they have an upgraded quarterback, and that's clear what they need. It unlocks everything for them. It makes their offense click more. They were scoring 33, 34 points per game with the better quarterback. And at that point, that does allow you to be like, okay, maybe a Bates isn't so necessary, right? So all these other players.
Yeah, but the Niners don't think that way. I don't even think the Niners necessarily look at Brock Purdy as an upgrade over Jimmy. I think they just look at him as a cheaper, younger version. And I think they feel like the players and the coaches like, look, man, like we just need a guy. Our team isn't about the quarterback. Our team's about Nick Bosa, Debo Samuel, George Kittle, Kyle Shanahan. Like, we're out here to be different than everyone else and prove that you don't need a quarterback. And the reason we didn't win the Super Bowl is because we ran out of guys. And Josh Johnson didn't, all right, well, I disagree. I don't necessarily know that if Brock Purdy had stayed healthy for the rest of the season that they would have won the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. I don't know about that. I think you might need someone even better than Brock, even though he played well. It's the NFL. Sorry.
You should always be looking at quarterback, basically. Always.
Until you feel like you have a guy who's a Hall of Famer. Even then, Bill Walsh had Joe Montana and was looking around. As soon as that dude hit 30, he was like, oh. Jesus Velez says, why should the Niners go for Lamar? He was injured for most of last season, and the Niners cannot keep a quarterback healthy. Well, I mean, that's why Kyle won't, and that's why he won't.
I wonder also if Lamar wasn't just holding himself out on purpose.
Maybe.
That's what I was always speculating the whole time. I was like, is he holding himself out on purpose? Like, because it's like, you kept getting all this. There was a lot of weirdness. Like the Ravens it kind of felt hush hush a little bit. That you were getting such vague like answers and details to the injuries. And as someone who had him on his fantasy team, I was always curious. I was like, what the hell? What's going on, bro?
It kind of felt like what was going on with Jimmy. It's like, hey, you want me to come back and play? Well, give me a contract. I'm not just going to go out and play and then be a free agent. Are you kidding? I mean, it seemed like the same exact situation
with the Jaguars.
What?
He was in 2019. He was hurt, concussion, ankle, all this stuff. Gets traded. Oh, miraculously healed.
Yeah, because he has a contract. Then he got an extension.
Exactly.
I mean, I think. Look, if I were the agent, I'd be like, of Lamar. Lamar doesn't have an agent, but if I were, or Jimmy, I'd be like, you're not going back out there without a contract. If they want you on the field, then there is they could talk to me about a contract and go through the proper channels. Kyle's like Sid from Toy Story with quarterbacks.
Ah.
Nah, man, because Sid looked like he'd seen some tough things and was growing up in a tough household. Kyle is the kid with in the mansion on the street who asks his dad for like the most expensive freaking toys, the drone, the stuff that aren't really even toys, like thousands of dollars, and he breaks them immediately because he has no idea what he's doing with the toys.
Okay, so he's like,
hey, Dad, could I have another drone? Huh?
He's like Andy, but evil Andy then. Toy Story.
Exactly. Errol Tolbert says, if Kyle thought Trey was Lamar, this further proves he doesn't understand the difference between a mobile quarterback, running quarterback, and a scrambling quarterback. Also, Kyle already said on the record, you want a quarterback who runs like Lamar and throws like Drew Brees. That's a slap in the face to Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's basically saying, I don't want you. I like the way you run, but not the way you throw. So that's not going to happen. I bet you $1 it's not going to happen. 2.
There was remember
I paid up Jose on our real quick. I paid Jose up on our bet. Remember, because I said Eagles were going to win the Super Bowl, and he said the Chiefs were. So I paid up. I want everyone to know I'm a man of my word.
Yeah, Grant's kneecap survived because he gave me that bottle, so thank God. So
I was nervous. Yep, that's right.
But I was gonna say, remember on your interview with Jimmy Ward 2 years ago now, right? Or 3 years ago? 2 years ago?
Year and a half. Yeah.
How he kind of like mocked Lamar in a way. He said Sammy Watkins like, I don't know why Sammy wanted to go play with him. How do we talk about how the Niners players resonate with what's in that culture, what's in that locker room, what's being said?
It's true.
I mean,
he was either making fun of Lamar or Greg Roman because he did play on a team with Greg Roman for 1 year. Jimmy Ward. I'm not sure.
But remember, they did play against Lamar, and it's not like Lamar was really like throwing like amazingly. It was just so much of that running game was just and the Niners kept crashing down and doing all this stupid undisciplined stuff that game in 2019.
Yes.
But yeah, so I remember Jimmy Ward did say that about Lamar. So it's like is that kind of resonated around? Maybe like it's like, hey, we love your running ability, but honestly, you can't throw. Like, I wonder if that's really thought of because
I think that's how Kyle feels. And I wonder what he said in like the team meetings leading up to that game against the Ravens. Like, hey,
yeah, because you could say all you got to do is like cut the running game, force them to throw. And maybe it was emphasized because remember, it was a raining game, so throwing wasn't ideal, but still.
And the Niners lost. Does Kyle know how to use dual threat quarterbacks? Ask RG3. You tell me. Ask Trey. I'd have to say no. I mean, he got production out of RG3 for like, 12, 13, 14 games, but then he got him hurt and played him and got him hurt and ruined his career. Do a sign and trade Bosa next year and Trey. First, yeah, I would do that. I would do that. I would. Again, if Kyle is a real offensive genius, you give him someone like Lamar, they should be winning multiple championships, dude. You're great, Kyle, right? What more do you need? You don't want Lamar, but you want Brock Purdy. Nothing against Brock, but come on, man. Is Brock Purdy going to win an MVP?
I think in a perfect world it'd be like giving the Ravens Trey, Debo in a first, and maybe another kicker. But I think Debo's contract doesn't allow you to, because I think no matter how you trade him, you're going to be on the hook for like $16 or so dollars.
Right.
And it's like, God damn it, what's the point? Because if you do keep Lamar, that pretty much is sayonara to Brandon Ayuk, and you would ideally rather keep Brandon Ayuk.
It's funny. You have to give 2 first-round picks for Lamar. Bosa's worth 2 first-round picks. I'd rather have Bosa than 2 first-round picks, because the Niners' 2 first-round picks are going to be like second-round picks. I wonder if they can finagle that.
Okay, you know what, they can, because I think I did also read that the Niners, you only have to give up your first rounders if you match the deal and sign them as a free agent to that tag terms, versus you could just engage in a sign and trade with the Ravens and be like, all right, I'm not doing this, but I will trade them for that tag that you have them on, and I will give you a player and picks. That's pretty.
Just Bosa for Lamar straight up. Bosa for Lamar straight up.
I don't think they're gonna
Bosa and Trey. Bosa Lamar, but I feel like Bosa and Trey is a good starting point. I mean, Bosa's worth 2 first-round picks.
It is.
Trey is worth something.
They do like their defense. They wouldn't mind.
They want to run a quarterback. They want a guy on a rookie deal. Okay, here's Trey. In my opinion, signing a high-priced quarterback is that the rest of the team suffers. Yeah, you don't want to do it. You don't want to do it if your quarterback is good, not great. You don't want to make Derek Carr the highest-paid quarterback. You don't want to make Daniel Jones,
Kirk Cousins,
but
Jared Goff.
If you truly have a Hall of Famer who can make other people better,
Joe Burrow,
you pay for that. You pay for that.
You do.
But what happens is you have to be a really good drafting team. The Niners are. They are, and they can get starters on day 3 better than any team in the league. So, yeah, they should. They should.
Who was even their draft picks last year that were, like, good? It was just Brock Purdy. Purdy.
You can't write them off because the Niners don't really play rookies. So let's see next year. Because they had Talanoa emerge in year 2, Aaron Banks emerge in year 2. So next year, Lenore. So next year it could be Womack, Danny Gray, Jordan Mason, Drake Jackson. It could be all those guys. It's not going to be Ty Davis Price, though. It's not going to be Ty Davis Price.
No, because they're going to draft another running back in front of him.
That guy has no agility or vision, in my opinion. Dustin the Gale says, except for Marshawn Lynch in 2014, no football team has ever won a Super Bowl while paying a running back more than $2.5 million. Niners going to be paying running backs 20 times that. Is that true?
Wow.
Is that true? Wow.
I think it's going to be on top of my head without looking at it. Who's been elite running backs? Who's Super Bowl for last? The Rams, they weren't paying anyone at running back, okay? Before that, the Bucks, they weren't. Leonard Fournette might have been on that cheap deal, because I think they just got him
super cheap.
On the quick.
$2.5 million.
Tom Brady. I think he got cut right in camp by the Jags, and that's when the Bucks just signed him for that year. So yes, so I would believe that. Year before
Marshawn's the only one.
Damian Williams, 2018 Patriots. Wow, Eagle. Okay, yeah. At least the last 6 years off the top of my head, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Look, Christian McCaffrey, great player, but I think also Debo, great player, but I think you don't pay running backs and wide receivers. Again, unless it's Jerry Rice. I don't think you pay running backs and wide receivers because they're plentiful in the draft. Good ones.
You don't, but the exception for the Marshawn Lynch is they had Russell Wilson on that rookie contract. That's the exception. So again, it fits the mold we just said. High price, but they actually have to be high-end quarterbacks, or you get a rookie quarterback or an average quarterback and he's not making as much and you can win with them. That's literally the only way that should work.
You can only do that stuff if you have a quarterback on a rookie deal. Niner Matt says, I'm a big Trey guy, but let's not pretend like Lamar didn't win the MVP with his wide receivers being Willie Steed and Miles Boykin. This offense would be fire. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty, again, Kyle, right? You have the best. Niner fans tell me how great this guy is. He's the best. All right, man, you give Lamar Jackson, there's no limits, right? There's no ceiling to what this offense could be. Why would he not want this, an offensive guy like him? Why is he leaning on defense? Come on, Kyle. Like, extend yourself. Glass half full guy says, what kind of contract are we talking about with Lamar? Can't see it with Bosa extension incoming unless visa deal is backloaded. You're not getting both Bosa and Lamar. You got to decide. Do you want the best pass rusher or an MVP candidate quarterback? What do you want in 2023?
And maybe it could work. I don't know. I feel like all these structuring things are always like, so there's a bunch of like hoops you can like find and like finesse your way that make it work. But I don't know. It's always confusing to me. That's why I would say like it would be awesome if you could trade Debo instead, because it's like I get you can see how much is a threatening you can have with Debo, McCaffrey, and Jackson. But ultimately, it's like, hey, who are your true wide receivers then? McCaffrey? Like, no, Kittle. Like, you need.
And financially, it's complicated to trade him. It is.
That's the thing
you can trade Ayuk.
Yeah, you probably could, which that sucks too. But yeah, I mean, you know what? It's fine to trade Ayuk as much as he's sweet and uprising. Replacing a wide receiver is relatively easy.
It's not hard. It's honestly about as easy as replacing a running back. Sorry. It is. I mean, all the best athletes play wide
It's all with
receiver.
the Chiefs. And if we're going to make the case about how you can pay a high-end quarterback, the Chiefs are doing that with Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Deuces, bro. Then you should be able to compensate that with Lamar because you already have a good running back. I mean, a good running back and good play caller. So it should.
All you really need is if you have a great quarterback, all you really need is to be strong in the trenches, both sides, have a good tight end and a good safety. I mean, and then draft well. Have a bunch of young, talented players for cheap. What kind of contract we talking about for Lamar? A hefty one, but maybe something 6 years that you could backload, so you could actually afford other people in the next couple of years. Maybe.
It just always seems like it's all drawing back to like the Deshaun Watson deal. That's why. So I mean, that's why there were reports like last month, like how they're like $130 million apart. And it's like, God damn, that's a lot. That's a lot. You guys aren't getting a deal done.
Lamar's a lot better than Deshaun, though.
He is. That's
say.
That's the thing. It's like crazier. It's like, yes, is he deserving to be Deshaun's deal? Hell yes. But I think what the NFL owners are saying is that deal should never happen in the first place. It was the Browns going AWOL, and this is why the Ravens are giving him this non-exclusive tag is by saying like, all right, Lamar, go get that contract you think you're worth. And once you see that was just an outlier, that was just the Browns going AWOL in the league, that we want to pay you, but it's not going to be that deal. Deshaun's an idiot. The Browns are an idiot. That's not no one. Because last year, I think it was, who was the Browns? I mean, why do I keep saying the Browns? The Baltimore Ravens GM said he took a shot at the Browns saying like, this is going to ruin negotiations for everyone in the future. He was talking about himself, but also other teams too. But
that's true.
Yeah, they did ruin it. Everyone was pissed. I think everyone forgets that. It's like, oh, Lamar, Deshaun's worth this. Why not Lamar? It's like, yes, he is worth that. But the thing is, why the NFL got pissed? It's like, that shouldn't have happened, especially not for Deshaun. I mean, if that was going to be the case, that should be for freaking Patrick Mahomes.
Impulsive says Salah's last year here proved they don't need Bosa. I mean, they did have a top 5 defense without Bosa. Bosa's a great player and he deserves his money, but should the Niners be the team that pays him? I'm just saying, like, Bosa, he's going to get $35 million a year. That's like Hall of Fame quarterback. Well, actually, it's just like regular quarterback money, but it's a lot of money. It's quarterback money. And he had a 10-point lead. He's supposed to make quarterback impact. He had a 10-point lead in the Super Bowl. He couldn't close the deal. I mean, I'm not that he should be expected to, but if you're making that kind of money, you're supposed to be that kind of impact player. He got held, right? Well, that's going to keep happening. Like, I think the NFL wants offense. Bosa's going to continue to get held in the critical moments, and then you can always say, well, he should have got the call, but he's not going to. So maybe you should stop fighting it and just embrace that the NFL wants high-scoring games and pay for offense.
Yeah, you could sacrifice a Bosa if it's for the betterment of getting the top 6 quarterback regarded.
I would have to say so. Play the kid, says Jose Bautista. Who, Lamar? He's actually not that old. Stephen Pryor says, I wouldn't trade a 3rd-round pick, let alone Trey or Bosa. Grant, how many times do you trash injury-prone players? Lamar has proven to be just as fragile as Jimmy Garoppolo, except when he loses his legs, his career is done. Cam was an MVP too. Well, I did say last night, if Kyle Shanahan trades for Lamar Jackson, he'll get him injured like immediately. I mean, I'm with you on that one, Steven. That being said, I'd rather have Lamar Jackson than Kyle Shanahan. I'm sorry. Like, if Kyle can't make it work, then bring in someone else. Because people say that people be lining up for Kyle. People be lining up to coach Lamar in the 49ers.
Yeah, yeah, they would. I think. They would. Look, Lamar. I think on the Niners, if you're gonna make the case, like he would end up as fragile. Okay, sure, I'd see it. Because look, you got me beat. Every quarterback they've started always gets hurt. But saying Lamar is like injury prone, like look, I think he's teetering around that line. But that's a little almost extremist.
I'm almost ready to apologize to Jimmy Garoppolo. Although he's so slow, I feel like he's gonna get hurt in his next stop. But if he doesn't, if he goes to a team that actually has a really good offensive line, and he stays upright and healthy and is decent, then you got to look at Kyle and be like, dude, what are you doing, man? So if they got Lamar and didn't finish their offensive line, it'd be really dangerous. And you'd think like, man, you're giving a fully guaranteed contract and you're not even going to like really protect him. What are you doing? You're going to mess this up. But if they say, you know what, we realize that we're not building our team correctly anymore, and we're going to take a step back on defense, and we're going to spend on quarterback and center and right tackle and have a juggernaut on offense with Kyle Shanahan leading the way, I'd be like, okay, maybe Kyle's learned. Maybe he's gonna make this one work. But come on, that's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Steven, you're right. Todd says, hey guys, in 1998, I was busy checking out girls in my class at Elkton Christian School in Elkton, Maryland, and I would come home and watch General Hospital and Channel 6 out of Philly, Lucky Spencer and Elizabeth Weber. 1998. Okay, what was I doing in 1998? I was 10 years old. I was in 5th grade, and I was listening to Pretty Fly for a White Guy by The Offspring. Remember that song? That was a fun song.
Who?
The Offspring.
Who? I don't know who that is.
Oh my goodness, you're so young. Anyway, Todd Labor. In 1998, I was playing GoldenEye on N64. Did you ever have an N64?
I used to play that a little bit. I was like, everyone saw the system when I was like 6.
Mario Kart, GoldenEye. GoldenEye was the most fun.
Mario Kart,
multiplayer? Yeah, multiplayer games. Chris Groves, Lamar misses games and is expensive. Can we please just give Trey a chance? I think Trey will be good and possibly elite. Play Trey, keep Purdy, fix the damn O-line, protect our damn quarterbacks, Kyle. I mean, that's probably what the more realistic option. I mean, let's keep in mind, guys, that the Niners aren't going to get Lamar Jackson for a bevy of reasons. But it's fun to talk about because he does have legit talent. You know what's funny? Niners, NFL has no stars, but I feel like Lamar has the most possibility to be a crossover international star more than Mahomes, because I feel like people in Europe, like soccer fans, would be more dazzled by a player like Lamar than a thrower like Mahomes. What do you think? Someone weaving through a defense?
Yeah. I like how you made the little soccer correlation there. Did you know Champions League starts at 12 p.m.? So are you going to watch that? No, you didn't.
You know, I feel like a player like Devin Hester would capture the imaginations of international fans more than, Joe Burrow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Because the NFL's having a tough time sort of crossing over into other markets that don't care or know about football. Well, you don't have to be a football expert to watch Lamar and be like, damn, dude, wow. Look at that. You know what I mean?
And
anyone can appreciate that.
Play the quarterback position. I mean, it's not like just his running ability. And he probably should start to reel that back a little bit. But, I mean, again, like the same thing we keep mentioning, like the question earlier about he won MVP with like scrubs essentially. It's like, are we sure that's not the reason why he's running? It's not just because that's his strength. Because, again, he can't throw. He's shown it before.
Give him Debo and Christian McCaffrey and let him check it down. That would save him. I mean, that was the whole idea of getting Christian McCaffrey for Cam Newton, right? Cam Newton had gotten beat.
My God.
He got beaten into oblivion, and they're like, all right, well, we got you a check down, so you don't have to be a hero. You don't have to play hero ball anymore. But by then, it was too late. He'd been injured. The Niners need to invest in O-line and let Lance play. No, man, they're going to trade for Kirk Cousins. Sorry, Jesus. Jose Batista says, trade the kid. What happened to the T-shirts? I don't know. I stopped making them. I'll make some more. The chef says Trey wins 3 straight. Brock's ready for week 4. Who starts? Trey. You can't take a guy off a heater. All right, let's move on. We can come back to Lamar Jackson later. But there's news coming out of L.A. Apparently, there's no guarantee that Matthew Stafford ever plays again. Matthew Berry of NBC Sports apparently asked about Matthew Stafford at the NFL Combine last week, and a source told him that Stafford, quote unquote, could barely throw last year and that, quote unquote, retirement is still not out of the question. This seems to mean that the Rams could be in the quarterback market as well. They might bring back Baker. They might find a way to trade for Lamar Jackson. I don't know. Maybe they'll call up the Lions and ask if they can get Jared Goff back. Or maybe they'll get Jimmy Garoppolo. Hey, what do you think of this news?
That kind
Jimmy.
of
I hope Jimmy stays in the division, please. Come on. I'd be such a Jimmy fan if he was in the Rams.
Probably roll it back with Baker Mayfield instead.
I would think so.
Or maybe they go for both. Maybe they go for both. I mean,
why not both, right? Yeah.
No, because I think honestly at this time going into the free agency that I'm getting a better sense that it feels like Jimmy's more prone to find an actual starting position and get even paid more just because of the guy. Because remember, let's not act like just because Baker had a decent finish with the Rams, it didn't mean like people cared about
really dislike him. Yeah.
He's pretty much in the same boat as a Carson Wentz. It's like you guys are going to be bona fide backups probably for the rest of your careers because you're not starting caliber so much to your talent. Maybe you proved it in the first stretch because I did actually have Baker as one of my players that the 49ers should consider targeting. But, now it's like, okay, he's going to have to go to the Rams. What better way? You're going to be with McVay. You could prove that you're going to be the guy for like another year because if he does retire, if he gets injured, whatever. Because even if he does come back with Stafford, there's no proof that there's no sound comfortability that you're going to have that his elbow is going to hold up. And this is what, the whole time, when you told me before, it's like, oh my God, I just kept thinking of Purdy because this is what it all feels like. Last year it was, okay, he's going to skip OTAs. He's going to take time off. Stafford, all he needs to do is rest. And he comes in a training camp. It's like, it's still kind of bummed out. And then sure enough, like you have concussions, you have all this thing. I know they're not in relation to each other, but still it's like everything was just bad juju from the start from it. And so, I mean, this just puts another damper on the Rams and it just makes it the division. This makes the point last week of why the 49ers will return to the NFC Championship a little easier is because the division's probably going to be theirs. I mean, you got Geno Smith back with the Seahawks. You should be fine handling them. The Cardinals are a joke. The Rams look like they're in rebuilding here. It should be relative cakewalk for you in the division.
It should. I just think it's interesting. Are the Rams want to be relevant? Like, they couldn't fill up their stadium even with a Super Bowl team. I think they want star power. I think they've made that pretty clear. They're bringing in as many stars as possible just to hope to fill the stadium. And, Lamar Jackson would qualify. Would Jimmy Garoppolo qualify? I really want the Rams to sign Jimmy Garoppolo. Can we convince the Rams? Look, McVay, he's a great locker room guy. He's got a wonderful smile. He's got a quick release. He's beaten you like a million times, and people like him. So I think you should sign Jimmy Garoppolo. 4 years, $140 million. I think it'd be in the Rams' best interest. Go get him.
I don't think it would, but it does make sense to pair him up with Cooper Kupp. That's like his perfect receiver. It's just like, just the Mr. Dump-Off Cooper. That's it. Not to say that's all he does, but he does excel in that manner. God, no, it's like you're going to have him go to the Rams now, not the Raiders, a different R team. They are 3 hours apart, 4 hours apart, 5 hours apart, whatever.
Hey, real quick, what do you think the Raiders are going to end up doing at quarterback? What's their move? I know this is off topic.
I think they got to go after Jacoby Brissett and Jarrett Stidham and draft.
Okay, who are they going to draft?
And draft, depending on what you get. But Jacoby Brissett,
they're going to get Will Levis. They're going to get Will Levis.
I hope not with 7th. That'd be kind of overstretched.
7.
It's like all of a sudden, it's like, you got Anthony Richardson now in the top 5 category. It went from he's a first-round pick to top 15 to top 10, and now he's going to be like, what the? Honestly, I don't see him top 5 material. I don't see it. I can get you can sell me on first round. I get it. Top 5, I feel like top 10 is like at the earliest. But damn.
I mean, it's all high. He doesn't have a top 10 resume, but he has top 10 athleticism.
No,
some coach can swing for the fences.
Drafted on traits. The Niners. Does Anthony Richardson have more games played? He probably does.
Barely.
So,
yeah. I mean, I feel like the reason that like Jalen Hurts being Jalen Hurts is going to get Anthony Richardson drafted number 1. And I don't know that Anthony Richardson is Jalen Hurts. Like, he's a better athlete than Jalen Hurts, barely. But Jalen Hurts like accomplished things in college.
Do you trust the coaches and like the Raiders facility to actually build this guy up? I don't know.
No,
probably not.
But the guy in Indianapolis, maybe. Real quick, guys, I have a question for people watching. A filmmaker reached out to me and said he'd like to make a documentary about me and my dad. But instead of making it like a long form thing, it would be like in short episodes, and we would sort of post it on the YouTube channel as like premium content. So he's wondering, is there any particular thing you guys would like or be interested in that you would actually pay for? Trying to brainstorm what kind of content of a Cohn Zone documentary would look like. So if that's something you're interested in, write it in the comment section. You don't have to leave, you don't have to say a super chat or anything. I'll go back and look. I'm just curious because it seems like a fun thing, and I'm so narcissistic that it's right up my alley. Our NG49 says, with Mahomes, an all-time great, everything changes. His Super Bowl wins prove you have to outscore him. You need a great offense and a serviceable defense. Yeah, it's almost like what Steph Curry did to the NFL. It's like, to the NBA. It's like, you know what? We need great three-point shooting to beat the Warriors. Otherwise, we have no chance. I mean, remember what the Rockets were trying to do? Like, let's just shoot 63s and hopefully we'll win. Like, that was pretty funny back in the day.
That was so stupid. I think the last team that won
stupid.
by true defense was the Patriots Rams Super Bowl 2018 season. That's the last. But then again, you had the same thing. You had the better quarterback, and the Rams had the better offense, but the Patriots had a better quarterback and the defense with Bill Belichick. So it just worked out.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Name a free agent quarterback the 49ers should target, assuming it's not Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, so I kind of like tipped it that I was thinking Baker. It's a tough one to consider. This article is going to release for mine tomorrow, and it's like it went from me feeling it was going to be easy to like this is actually kind of tough. It's actually kind of tough because you have Jameis Winston who's going to set to be out there, but it's like, is he going to be released soon? He should be released soon, right? Hit it, and if he doesn't, then the Niners going to wait. You shouldn't wait for the Niners. You got to find this out like ideally soon, but not too rushed, because this is a very very crucial move. That's going to pretty much almost like define your next season, this upcoming season if Purdy and Trey Lance don't come out. But like players that come to mind, of course, it's hard not to think about Andy Dalton, a guy who's proven to be capable and a stretch for a majority of his career through a stretch of being a starting caliber player. He's not so much of a stiff, and he wasn't terrible for the Saints last year. He was fine. He had a 2-to-1 touchdown ratio. I think 18 touchdowns, 9 picks. Nothing glamorous, but then again, the idea is not to bring him to be the starter. The hope is it's going to be Purdy and or Lance. And if he does come to be, then at least you have someone who's serviceable. You just get it out there and it should be fine. And plus cost. That's another thing that's going to be cost. Like personally, like I said, I would love Jacoby Brissett of the Niners. He cost the Browns $4.6 million last year, which for the 49ers, you say, hell yeah. But I think he's kind of at least at the bare minimum doubled that. And as impressive as he played in those 11 games without Deshaun Watson. So I don't think he's going to want to come here. So that's pretty much, that's the way I'm going to think about it. That they should target is probably Andy Dalton. As much as like I don't really like saying that, it just feels like that's where the route they're going to have to really go after.
See, I would rather sign Jameis Winston than Andy Dalton.
I wouldn't mind Jameis Winston either. If you told me they're both on there, I'd be like, sure. I think I considered it more from like the Niners. Like, how would they do? Do they think he can?
They would get Andy Dalton. They would get Andy Dalton. I'm just saying what I would prefer. I remember the Niners played. They played the Saints this year, and Dalton played, and Dalton was okay, but they scored no points. He was just sort of out there trying not to lose the game, but he didn't do anything. And I remember interviewing a content creator before the game who covered the Saints, and he was like, "Man, I can't stand Dennis Allen. And I don't understand why they're playing Andy Dalton." And they scapegoated Jameis Winston. I really wish they would give Jameis another chance. So I kind of feel like Dennis Allen is a trash coach. And, I would see if there's something there left with Jameis Winston, because I feel like Sean Payton liked him, but Dennis Allen didn't. And he got buried. You know what I'm saying?
So I think maybe Kyle will.
Yeah, like Dennis Allen, what the hell is he? Is the worst coach ever. I wouldn't take his opinion on quarterbacks like Rich Scangarello. I don't know. Jameis.
Now, I think the other thing I lean towards Dalton is because he was safe in terms of also health, where Jameis has been shown that he can't stay healthy as much anymore. And again, when you're bringing in a guy who's supposed to be the backup to the two injury quarterbacks, you want to have someone who doesn't have those concerns. Hence why I really love Jacoby, because he played well. He played in a similar system with Kyle Shanahan, and he doesn't get hurt. But again, the cost that's the one that like it's like, all right, how's that gonna work? So what are you talking about? It really is tough. There's a lot of you look at the subcategories of what works, and it's always like cost. Can you kind of move your health? What does he do? Like it's a lot of things are very tough to align. I feel like the best one that aligns, unfortunately, is probably Andy Dalton, or maybe even a Marcus Mariota. But is Mariota even like serviceable as a passer? It felt like they were running him to the ground, which maybe Kyle would love.
I know.
And then you got to consider what quarterback are you trying to go after in terms of stylistically. Are you trying to go more towards the Trey Lance style or the Brock Purdy style? It's probably going to be the Brock Purdy style, since they want him to really be the starter, truthfully.
I don't even think I'd be that into Jameis anymore. I have a new thing with quarterbacks. I feel like in 2023, defensive linemen are so good. Pass rushes are so quick. Pockets evaporate so quickly that I think like if you're looking for a quarterback in Madden and they have all the attributes written out, all the different, and they scores, I want burst. Burst is important to me. I want 99. So I press turbo, get the hell out of the pocket, man. And that's what I felt Brock Purdy had. I felt like every quarterback that made it deep in the playoffs had burst, that quick 10-yard split. You don't have to run a 4.6 or a 4.4. You can run a 4.8, whatever. But you have that first 3 steps to just get away from trouble. Maybe, a little creativity to make a guy miss. That's super important. And I don't think Andy Dalton has that. I don't think Jameis Winston has that after the ACL surgery. Like, who has it? Mariota. So I like him. But I don't know if they're going to get him. And I don't even know that Kyle gets it. He could watch Brock Purdy do his thing and still not fully grasp what it is about Brock that's working, that's transcending Jimmy. Jimmy was so slow, dude. His first 3 steps, wow.
He looked like he was running with ankle weights on or sandbags. Yep. He looked like he was running with a squat rack on his shoulders.
Yeah, like he looked like he was running with freaking rain boots on. You know, like big freaking combat boots on.
Running in stand.
Yes, absolutely. I like Mariota, but he did kind of quit and pout after he got benched. Maybe he would rather retire. I don't know. People felt like he ditched the Falcons after he got benched for Ritter. He just like went AWOL on the team. I don't really know, but maybe he wouldn't want to come here and be like take a back seat like that.
Yeah, because that's the one thing you're gonna have to like accept as a quarterback, right? You're gonna sign by the 49ers. It's pretty much like, hey, it's not your team, but we're gonna put you like on a base deal, and we're gonna juice it up like crazy in case those two like are done, and we put you in. So it's literally like a chance for someone to be like, hey, it's a chance to get a rebound with a good team, a good coach that should prop you up, and it's just really if you're gonna roll the dice and take that offer and figure that you're gonna have to play. That's really what's gonna be the draw here. I think we talked about a couple weeks about Carson Wentz. Like, is he going to be on the table at the 49ers?
That's another guy who lost his burst. I feel like when you go back and look at his numbers at the combine, he had the 155 10-yard split at like 235 pounds, but then he tore his ACL and he had these injuries, and now he's lumbers around the field. He lost what made him special. I'm just saying, to me, this burst thing is important. And in the draft, there's like 4 or 5 quarterbacks who have a combination of burst, experience, and accuracy. I would just gamble on 1 or 2 of those guys rather than go for some guy like Baker who's freaking slow Baker.
He might be able to get a little escapability. You know what? Honestly, it's like why not Mariota? I mean, honestly, I don't think I'm gonna probably like dampen a little bit what I said. Like, it's such a pivotal move. But ultimately, if they have to get down to this quarterback, and Trey Lance and Brock Purdy are both done again, it's like, God damn, it's just bad then. At that point, it's just bad. You're just hoping this third guy can just keep it afloat enough at that point. But yeah, if it gets down to this third quarterback again, I mean, barring Purdy is healthy to come back. But if he's gone, if it turns out on Friday he's done for the year for a majority of the season, then I get it then at that point.
Chris Grove says, love you, Grant, but we really love your dad's stories.
Yeah.
You would pay to watch my dad tell stories from the past? Good to know. Thank you very much. I will relay that to through the proper channels. There's one more. Hold on. Druber89 says, I was 9 years old playing Madden 98 and 98. Crazy how graphics have changed. Crazy. Oh, it was a big game in 98. Honestly, I wasn't playing Madden 98 and 98. I was playing Blitz. Did you play Blitz? That was the game. Yeah. Super fun. I want to say.
Is that with Cordell Stewart?
Yeah, and yes. Every quarterback was super yoked, and you could hit players after the play, and everyone just ran that one play, the bomb, every single time. Super fun.
Oh, I could never do that. All I just kept doing was just going running straight quarterback designs, just running. I mean, not quarterback designs. It would be a hike, and I just spin around, just run it down deep. It was the only way it would work for me, at least. I couldn't throw it to save my life.
All right, moving on. The bomb. Yeah, let's name a free agent on the Niners that they should re-sign this week.
Oosh. That's they have 21 unrestricted free agents, so that's mainly about them, right? Jimmy Garoppolo. No, I'm just kidding. It's really hard not to really pick Jimmy Ward, but I think I'm gonna. I have him on as a free agent. The 49ers should let walk, but I'm gonna for devil advocate I'm gonna say Mike McGlinchey, because right tackle is such a pivotal position that it's like, where the hell are you going to find a replacement? Like, you're going to go in the draft. You're going to go fishing there. There's no one else really in free agency that's really a necessarily drastic upgrade to be paying so much of that money. So wouldn't you rather pay so much of that money to someone that you know of? I mean, figure it out with.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you saying this with a straight face right now? Are you serious? No,
I'm playing devil's advocate.
You tried. You almost had me. You almost had me, man. I thought you were serious for a second. That was good. I liked it. That was really good.
If you see in the article, he's on one of my free agents they should let walk. So I just wanted to play for devil's advocate because it kind of feels like when I was looking down the list, it's like, honestly, resign. That's actually name. It's other than Jimmy Ward. Who do I consider? Not Aziz. No, I'm not bringing Charles Menhu. He might be too much. Who knows about whatever case he has? Samson Ebukam, maybe. Robbie Golds already says nah. At that point, it's like Jimmy Ward's the only realistic one that makes the most sense. And the only reason why it's a drawback is because he's going to be 32 by the time the season comes around.
SpotTrack estimates that some team's going to give Mike McGlinchey a 4-year, $60 million contract. Oh.
They also estimate that Emmanuel Moses is going to get $13 million. So they can go off.
He's a corner. He's a corner. He might.
He's coming up with torn ACL. I do not care. He's not going to get that.
I bet he gets the money, though. Oh, I bet he does. But I already lost one bet to you this week. I'm not going to do anymore. McGlinchey, I would say, please no. Jimmy Ward, that's cool. Deshaun Gibson would be great. It seems like he fits. I don't know if he might be too expensive.
I have him as a guy they should let walk.
Fair. He seems probably replaceable. I would say someone real modest. Jordan Willis. I like Jordan Willis. I feel like he's good.
Modest. That's most of the free agents.
Exactly. Like I don't think they can bring back Ebukam or Amenihue. Or should they? I don't think they can bring back Aziz.
Should they bring back Tyler Croft?
I think Ross Dwelly should leave. I think he should go somewhere else because the Niners are never going to use him. But Jordan Willis, I like Jordan Willis. I think he's a hell of a player. They should bring him back.
But let me
game changer.
Why I don't like Deshaun Gibson. I mean, I'd like him. I like him. Let's not get this wrong. But why I think he should be someone that walks away is because I think last year was such a lightning in the bottom moment. And it's almost like we're at the casinos. Like you're up so ahead. How much is your luck really going to keep going? You're probably better off just pulling the table your chips off and just take that for what it was. I was like, hey, you played a hell of a game. Let's not push our luck with him because he is also, as much as I say Jimmy Ward's 32, it's like Deshaun Gibson's pretty much the same age as
He's
him.
also 32. He's almost 33. But let me just point out, Deshaun Gibson is actually kind of consistent. He had 5 picks last year, but 2 the year before that, 2 the year before that, 3 the year before that, 1, 4, 1, 2, 6, 5. He has 32 picks in his career. And he's always around for a 1-year deal. I'm just saying you could do worse.
But the same reason why I give Talanoa one of my players who could potentially decline. Can you not say the same thing about Gibson with DeMeco Ryans gone? He made his safeties more, put them always in a great position. Now maybe it was Deshaun who did well because like you said, he does have a track record of finding his nose for the ball. So, okay, all right, maybe that is actually him. But why was he such a late addition then? Because initially when he was brought in, he was a late training camp.
He's on a practice squad, wasn't he? Yeah, it was crazy. I don't know.
They brought him in when Jimmy hurt his hamstring because they needed to field a practice. They needed to field practice. They've done this before where players got nicked up. And they just said, we're just going to sign this guy to be a body, and then we'll see if we like him and bring him in the season. But yeah, that's when Jimmy Ward.
That's why he might be affordable because even though he performs well, he never gets the contract. He might be affordable. He might be
cool. Maybe like a year, $5 million. Because how much did he cost last year? Like 1.5.
Probably nothing.
Yeah, he was probably like 1.5. So I think this year you're the Niners. You give him like 4 or 5. Wouldn't be bad.
We talked about this earlier, but I just want to talk about it real quick. The Niners are all about their number one defense. And they say stuff like, well, we can't go after – they don't say stuff, but their fans say stuff like, well, we can't go after Lamar Jackson because then we'd have to take a step back on defense. God forbid the Niners didn't have the number one rated defense in the NFL. Like, that's the end game here. Do you think that the Niners are a little too caught up in their defense and maybe should look at the landscape and say, you know what, maybe we should focus on getting the number one offense? Maybe take a step back on defense?
Yeah, that's only if you think you're gonna have the pathway to get that quarterback that we talked about, that top 6. That's the only reason why you take that step back. You don't do it for someone that's like top 10, top 12, right? Like you don't do that for someone who's like a Dak Prescott. It's not gonna work because they have a good defense. They have sufficient playmakers, adequate enough. I know it's more top heavy and stuff with Pollard and CeeDee Lamb. But yeah, it's like you're not going to really win too many playoff games with the Dak Prescott or some of those players. And Dak's like an 8 to 10 range quarterback, I think. It's really got to be if it's going to be someone who is that top 6, 7 like quarterback that you're willing to invest all that money is because the reason why you take that step back on defense is you're going to lose those 2 to 4 players that you would normally pay and give it to the quarterback. And it's worth it because it's so influential and they can make up so much. And the point of the game is to score points. And that's what he does. That's what the quarterback does. Where the defense is great. You want someone to limit them. But as long as they limit them, slow them down and make it and give your offense, your presumed top 6, 7 quarterback, extra possessions to get you points, then you're all gravy. You're fine. And that's what Lamar would provide, or that's what Jalen Hurts is providing to the Eagles. That's why they weren't out of it in the end. Really, what in that Super Bowl really made them like get screwed over. It wasn't as much people want to say the holding or whatever. It pretty much was kind of Jalen Hurts' fumble sack that went for a touchdown. So I think that's where that's really the only way you can peel it back. Not to get someone who's top 10 or 8 to 10. It has to be literally like, this guy's elite, which is Lamar Jackson. So it makes sense to do a full court press and get him in your ranks.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see how the Niners defense could really get better than it was last year. I mean, they had the number 1 defense last year. It got ran through by Philly and Kansas City. They couldn't do anything against those guys. Philly blew them off the ball. They were not good enough in the trenches. So it seems like I don't know that you can ever have an elite defense in the NFL today. All the rules are against you. You can't touch the quarterback. You can't touch the wide receivers. I mean, so many refs can throw flags on you every freaking play, and they just pick and choose when to do it.
They did in the Eagles game. It was so janky. Like, it was like, are you serious? And it's like, is the mob in it? It's
how many drive extending calls were called against the Niners after? You know what I'm saying? It's just going to keep happening.
It's just the reality of the league. The refs suck, and if they're going to call bad calls, it's typically going to be the defense.
Go on the defense. It's going to go on the defense, and you keep seeing it in playoff games. Yeah, me too, right? But that's what the league wants. The final score of the Super Bowl this year was 38-35. They want that. They would rather it be 43-40, and it's going to be like that in the future. So you can keep trying to fight it, or you can just acknowledge it. And again, Kyle, you're supposed to be a genius. You have all this talent on offense. Why not put it all together and make it something special? Like, Andy Reid isn't over trying to win with his defense in Kansas City. They brought him there to be dominant on offense. The Niners hired you to be dominant on offense. What are you doing? I mean, Mike McDaniel didn't go to Miami and be like, hey, guys, we're a defensive team. What are you talking about? No, you're not. You're not. And any team that wants to be a defensive team in 2023 is wasting its freaking time. Even Pete Carroll in Seattle understands that their offense needs to be the catalyst of their freaking team. Pete, the defensive coach. So,
yeah, because McDaniels in Miami, he wouldn't do it. He traded for Tyreek, signed Raheem Mostert, traded for Jeff Wilson mid-trade. Everything they did at Teron Armstead, everything they did that was a splash or a transaction, acquisition, anything was 90% skewed to the offense.
And what's crazy is, like, the Niners understand. They say stuff like, it's a quarterback league, but that's why we're so into defensive linemen, because that's the great equalizer. You got to either have the quarterback and hit the quarterback. What about protecting the quarterback? How do they forget about that? That should be more. It should be quarterback, O-line, D-line in that order. But for the Niners, O-line is like way at the bottom, and I will never understand that. I don't get that. Until they really invest in their O-line, it's hard to take them seriously. Philly invests in their O-line. Kansas City invests in its O-line. Those two have two of the best O-lines in the league. Kansas City lost a Super Bowl, and they're like, we're never letting that happen again, the way it happened. And all of a sudden, they made huge investments in their O-line. Look at them now. Look at them now.
And someone like Lamar, he could like, dance around a little bit to hold up on those pass rushers. Although a bunch of games I watched him last year, and it kind of seemed like he was holding on the ball too long, and maybe almost like I kept saying, like, Lamar, it feels like you're messing around too much, and maybe what we alluded
Justin Fields
to
does
about,
that
like,
too.
Defensive linemen are more faster, and so it's like, oh crap, these guys are faster than I would have anticipated than I did like 2 years ago. So
yeah.
It's you kind of hope that with the Kyle Shanahan scheme, it's like, all right, we're going to get you more balls out of your hand quickly. So hopefully these defensive linemen get screwed more in terms of, like, you can't just commit and shoot at us.
Remilia Sports Report is not happy with me. He said I'm saying the same crap over and over again. Damn, dog, I thought we were friends, dog. What happened? He said, I guess he's mad because I said
Rams fans are never
Stafford's never going to play again. All right. Give me a bold prediction for free agency for the 49ers. Bold.
They don't sign anyone of interest at all. That it's boring. That's bold. Worse than last year. Like, last year was bad,
Ward. Last year they signed Charvarius Ward.
Yeah, which was cool. Again, like, especially I know you felt underwhelmed by what they did, but it was like, it was cool.
They went defense and special teams in an offensive league. They went defense and special teams.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be. My bold prediction would be that they don't do any of that. It's just gonna be a bunch of, like, roundabouts. And I'm not gonna say a bold prediction is going after Jesse Bates. Like, that's not bold. That's kind of sounds like what they are gonna do now at this point. Makes sense.
That's what I was gonna say. Bold? Sorry, that's what I was gonna say. Damn it.
Is that bold?
Well,
We
my
know what it
bold
is.
prediction is that their big move is gonna be on defense. Even after we just said they should be improving their offense, it's gonna be defense. They're gonna find some cheap ways to address center and right tackle draft picks, 1 year
Because
deals.
the only way that makes sense free agency wise is to go out. Jesse Bates is of all the needs they have, which is obviously we discussed is offensive line, defensive line, whether it's center, tackle, guard, edge rusher, interior defensive line, and then obviously safety. Because otherwise, other than offense, upgrading quarterback Lamar, but then what else do they need? They don't need help with receiver.
Yeah, and Jesse Bates is a great player. Great player. I mean,
Younger.
you could even say it'd be a better signing than Trevarius Ward, which ended up being a good signing. But it's just another high-priced player on defense, and you're not allowed to play defense. Now, it's nice to have a free safety because he's not going to be in man-to-man coverage. He can't get flagged. He's not a big hitter. He's just there to intercept passes. Great. You need that against Patrick Mahomes. Great. But the Niners have already spent on Armstead, Greenlaw, Warner, Trevarius Ward, soon to be Nick Bosa. I mean, this is a very expensive defense, but I don't think they care. I think they're proud of it.
Greenlaw's contract only takes about like 1.3.
That's true. He's actually of all of them, he's
the biggest bargain star.
Yeah, he's still only making like $9 million a year or whatever. Yeah,
biggest bargain star.
It's a good bold prediction. Now, give me a bold prediction for the draft. For the
They're going to draft a kicker, one of their high picks.
Oh,
They're going to draft a kicker.
They're going to draft Sebastian Janikowski Jr.
I have obviously the only reason why I'm saying this is because they did that with Mitch Wisnowski in the 4th round before. If you can do that once, you probably can do it again. All right, and look, he's still on the team, so maybe they go that route. Maybe they think going higher. It was like we have a million 3rd, 4th, 5th round picks. We're going to use one of our 3rds or 4th and do that for one of the more well-rounded guys who can kick. Because if that was the case, I mean, Robbie Gould, he already said he's gone, and that's probably because he wants to be top 5 paid again. Robbie Gould, which is the $5 to $6 million range. And it's like, should we do that? I mean, you're already in your 40s. We got to weigh the possibility of you declining. And our other needs elsewhere are higher on the totem pole than as a kicker, which, by the way, do you think it's a mistake to let him walk?
Who?
Robbie Gould?
I think he's starting to decline. I think they may not want him anymore. I think he couldn't even get the ball to the end zone on the kickoff.
Well, yeah, they definitely don't want him. That's why they're letting him. That's why they're like, if the fact that they're letting him hit free agency says we definitely are okay with you if you leave.
I think they feel like he's finally starting to deteriorate. Maybe they're wrong.
Because he was 7 of 11, from like 40 to 50.
I'm saying. I think they feel it's time.
And it kind of felt like the Niners went for it a little more around the 50 than they did in years past, and that's probably because why as well.
Yeah. My bold draft prediction is that they will not trade up. They got picks 99, like 101 and 102, and a lot of people
Repeat of last year, say again?
Yeah, exactly. The Niners didn't make any trades last year, and I don't think that was a coincidence. I feel like the Niners have had some bad luck trading up, and I don't know how they look at it, but I mean, Trey Sermon, Trey Lance, Brandon Ayuk's been good, but he's in and out of the doghouse weekly. There's more that I can't. Dante Pettis. I feel like the Niners may feel that they're trying to create a culture of competition and earning it, meritocracy, and if you trade up for someone, it kind of creates the perception that something is being given to you, and that's really not what they want to do. I don't think they want to do it anymore. They haven't had success trading up and targeting players. Joe Williams. I think they're done. I think they're over it. But that's my bold prediction. They're going to stick at 99. I think it's by design. I don't think they want the pressure. I think they just want to chill and be like, we're not drafting starters. This guy's for the future. No expectations. Leave us the hell alone. I think that's what they want.
Yeah, that makes sense. And if you get it last year, I'm not going to – Purdy was great, but let's not act like they actually thought that was going to happen. The real players they expected to be contributors are Jake Jackson. That was kind of a whiff in year one. Tariq Casserfield were to be found. Samuel Womack, they pulled the plug on him as soon as the season started, unfairly.
Right.
Who else?
Davis Price never got a chance. Danny Gray
didn't do a thing again.
Gray. Yeah. So, Spencer Burford surprised them, and because Daniel Brunskill was hurt. They needed a right guard for practice. Spencer Burford proved to be just as good as Daniel Brunskill.
They're shuffling in him out. That was weird. That's unknown. That's also
weird. Daniel Brunskill got a much higher grade from PFF than Spencer Burford. Much higher.
Which I'm wondering, is he? We didn't mention him as a player to resign.
Yeah,
he wouldn't be bad.
I mean, he's solid. He's been solid for the Niners.
Not much money at all. Still, I mean,
nah.
Unless he's a starting material. Maybe that's what he wants. Maybe he wants to be a starter because he probably could land a starting job somewhere.
Yeah, maybe he'll go to the Dolphins.
Oh, yeah,
the Dolphins.
Or Houston.
I really hope that I got more bold predictions. This isn't the draft. I really hope that D'Amico Ryans doesn't draft a quarterback and does what Kyle did and passes on a quarterback, takes a D lineman, and signs Jimmy. Do that, D'Amico. Please do that.
I told you at his press conference, maybe, it depends how much autonomy he actually says in terms of final say on personnel. But I did tell you, he said that he did get a question about the draft and quarterback. And he says, he pretty much is like I said, it's not necessary that we have to go number 2 there because
sign Jimmy.
And through his experience, and the same thing, through his experience with Kyle, is like, you don't need that top guy to go far. It's like, true, you don't need that top guy to go far, but you need that top guy if you want to win. Sign
Jimmy, please. D'Amico, Bobby Slowick, sign Jimmy. Don't draft a quarterback.
Slowick,
why would you draft?
The New England ties. It's all there for him.
Please, I want to see this. I need to see this.
But then you still can't go after just Jimmy. They're going to have to go. I mean, they got cap space, so they could have to go after Jimmy and someone else. Maybe even draft someone later.
Yeah, they'll draft someone, whoever Kyle Shanahan would want. That's what they're going to do. Please be 49ers South. Do that.
Well, they still have God, I forget his name. Why do I forget so many of these quarterbacks' names? The Texans quarterback, the guy who's really bad.
Davis Mills.
I was about to call him.
Saw Davis Mills?
Yeah. So
him and Jimmy Garoppolo together?
Jimmy, and then draft?
That would be like the Red Ranger and the White Ranger coming together and making a Megatron. What was it called? A Megazord?
Something like that. Ultron, Voltron.
That was before your time too. Power Rangers. That show was corny. They did a lot of.
I used to watch it. I just don't remember the names to all that stuff. I used to watch that.
Right, because they would have they would team up in this.
They would do a weird choreographed dance and press a little wristband or something, and then they turn it to this little helicopter spaceship thing.
Yep. Have you seen that Moody kid from Michigan? Is he worth taking high in the draft? I don't know. I haven't. I don't scout kickers. But I'll try. I haven't, so I don't have an opinion. All I know is that when they drafted Mitch Wishnowsky, I roasted him because he kicked in Utah, which is 7,000 feet above sea level. And he was he averaged 54, 55 yards a punt at home, but on the road, it was 47. I was like, guys, do you know this? But they're always we don't care. We like his hang time. It's okay, there you go. Fine. Whatever.
He's been pretty sketch.
Every once in a while, though, he does that knuckle kick and gets the fumble. He should do that every time.
I really hope they draft a kicker just because when I write that article, I'm just going to laugh the whole time and be writing. I'm like, what is this stupid excuse of a mess, dude? Come on, man. You should just sign. I don't know. I just can't wait.
Megazord. Thank you,
all right,
Steven Saunders.
And you're lying. I'm going to be very upset.
No, Megazord sounds correct. It's called a Megazord. That sounds right.
Okay, here we go. We're getting crowdsourcing and it's working.
Megazord, I think. Oh man, wonderful.
And too much I think and not I knows.
Didn't the Green Ranger have a flute and he would do and then his Zord would come out of the lake? Wasn't the Green Ranger kind of like a loner too? He wouldn't hang out with the other Power Rangers. He would just hang out in a cave like Batman, just think about his whole life. Brood. You didn't watch the show. You were 3 years old.
I didn't watch it. But can I remember stuff at that age? No. What the hell?
No.
It's I remember watching football games when I was 5, 6, 7. Doesn't mean I remember them off the top of my head. If you can.
All you had to know is the most badass Power Ranger would kick your ass, but before he did, he would play his flute. He'd be like, "What'd you say about my mom?"
Yeah,
and then he would smack you.
You're gonna be a flute before you whoop someone's ass.
That dude passed away earlier this year, though. Rest in peace to the Green Ranger, who also became the White Ranger. He was the White Ranger. That was the saber-toothed tiger.
I remember
that show's kind of racist, though, if you think about it, though. Kind of racist. The Yellow Ranger, the White Ranger, the Black Ranger. You couldn't do that today. You have to mix that up.
Why? They had all colors. They had the whole color tree.
Yeah, but the Black Ranger was black. You can't do that. It was messed up. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have made sense to make him a Mexican or something. That would have been that would have threw everyone off.
Well, the Asian Ranger, the Yellow Ranger was Asian. The lady,
All right,
the lady
yeah, no,
Girl
yeah,
Ranger was pink.
No, that's racist.
You couldn't do that.
Anyone Mexican then? What the hell? That's
There wasn't a Mexican one, I don't think.
Oh yeah, it's true. They were.
Come on, this was like 1994 version of like
care.
of diversity.
I think
What was the bad guy? The bad guy was an alien though, and that was racist against aliens and ugly people with warts on their faces. Thank you for watching, everyone. This was a good show. I'll be back tonight with Jesse Naylor talking about the same damn shit you already know. Peace.